Thank God it's Friday. Monday's a brand new start. Wednesday, you're halfway home, and Thursday, the weekend's not far. Saturday and Sunday, you hang with your friends. What can you say about Tuesday? Nothing, not a damn thing. Tuesday bites, Tuesday sucks, Tuesday blows, go away. Tuesday's crap, Tuesday's lame, Tuesday's dumb, go away. Tuesday, Saturday and Sunday, you hang with your friends. What can you say about Tuesday? Nothing.
Maybe dry enough to get the lawn mowed. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe we just won't have any rain today. Or very little. Not like yesterday.
Boy,
that was something
crazy. It started and then it stopped, and then it started and it stopped, and it just kind of kept doing that all afternoon.
Heavy rain too.
Yeah, heavy rain at times yesterday. It looks like maybe a shower this morning, but then drying up the rest of the day before tomorrow when we'll see some more thunderstorms in the forecast. High of about 80 today, down into the mid-70s tomorrow, then creeping back into the mid-80s on Friday and up near 90 on Saturday. So it's going to be warm again this weekend. Not as bad as it was last weekend. Certainly not into the mid or upper 90s, but it's going to be warm. And
it may not be as humid either. We might get this rain out of our system. It might be a nice dry weekend.
Kind of a back and forth. We've got Grant Bills of the Wisco Sports Show joining us a bit later on. We'll talk to him just after 8 a.m. We'll let you know what's new on New Release Tuesday. It's So Hot That. We'll play a round of that this morning. Also talking about nightmares. What about nightmares? What do you know about nightmares? You've had a few, huh?
I have them. Yes.
Yeah.
I do.
Well, you have a lot of stress, so and you allow that.
I've always had them, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even from when I was a kid, and I wouldn't say that was a stressful time in my life.
More on that a bit later on. RockMornings.com for all of our contact info. We've got some Rockfest music from 3 Days Grace coming up in just a bit.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene on your rock station.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene on New Release Tuesday. We'll let you know what's dropping on DVD. We'll talk to Grant Bills. We're going to talk about nightmares. We're going to talk about how hot it's been. All sorts of stuff this morning. Busy on a Tuesday. Joe Gow going to be busy next year in June. Going to be in trial. Former UWL Chancellor Joe Gow and his lawsuit against the university, along with the Board of Regents, going to trial in a year in federal court in Madison. Document filed last month. In Gow's lawsuit by the judge in the case outlines the timetable of how the case will proceed. The trial itself set for June 22nd, so just about a year from now. Document said that 8 people will sit on the jury to hear the case. Gow fighting for reinstatement as a professor in the classroom at the university, along with lost wages and other damages. He says that basically his dismissal violated his First Amendment rights. University officials said that Gow's actions in making adult videos and books embarrassed the La Crosse campus and the UW system. They also said that his work involved an unauthorized use of university equipment. Removed as the chancellor over at UWL in December of 23. He had tenure as a professor, but was fired from that position the following September. Lawsuit was filed in January of this year. Several deadlines between now and next June when the court case begins regarding witnesses from both sides and filing documents, but the trial expected to last 5 days in 2026.
All right, a year from now.
So we'll probably hear a couple of sprinklings between now and then in terms of updates, but for the most part, that'll just sort of simmer until next year. I don't know, dude. I told you my opinion. I don't care that he made porn. Whatever. You want to make porn. But people in this country, for whatever reason, when it comes to schools, even when it's colleges and we're talking about, older kids in their teens and 20s, they don't want that stuff anywhere near the school, especially from a person that was in the top position. Now, If you're a janitor and they catch you, whatever. Nobody really gives a rat's ass about the janitor. No offense to janitors, but you know what I'm saying. Like if you're the head guy,
custodial engineers.
Yes, if you're the guy with all the keys and the access to the tunnels and all that stuff, then cool. But no one's going to really bat an eye.
Reputation and reputation, right?
It is a stain on the
goes
school.
With the school, right? And that's what I think that's what's going to be on trial.
Well, and you look at the university like, hey, man, we're trying to get kids to come here, and their parents, the first thing they see when they Google UWL is former chancellor making porn with his wife and a bunch of porn stars, and he brought one in, and it's like, it all just sort of, it's not good, not a good scene, man. So as the university's concerned, it's like, yeah, we can't have you around, bro. The father of murdered boy Elijah Vu was in county court to request a new trial or resentencing for his drug conviction based on testimony of Katrina Bauer, Elijah's mother. According to documents that were filed on Monday, Bauer was the key witness at Jimmy Vu's trial in 2022. Vu's attorney claiming they were not told about several police reports involving Bauer that included neglect of a toddler and possible drug use. The attorney said that Bauer had a powerful personal motive to fabricate, mislead, or retaliate through her testimony in this case. The judge says prosecutors can file a response, both sides, of course, back in court in September to determine which steps to take next in that case. But, yeah, the father there looking to get a new trial or resentencing for his drug conviction. Woodman's. Did you see the Woodman's in Madison?
Oh, my God, I sure did.
Man, it looked like one of the streets in downtown La Crosse.
Like a partial roof collapse, right?
Yeah.
During the storm yesterday.
Yeah, the roof said, nah, not going to do this anymore, and said, here you go, here's all this water.
East side of Madison Woodman's, I believe, versus the west side of Madison Woodman's.
Yeah, Madison Fire Department responding to the 3800 block of Milwaukee Street at about 8:45. Unknown what caused the roof to partially collapse. I know what caused it. It's all the effing rain that happened yesterday. Partial roof collapse, and yeah, aisles flooded. So all that product's gone.
Like mud and muck and roof, rain and roof
and all the
stuff.
Yeah, and the videos of it are wild to see because obviously you don't typically catch things like that. Undocumented immigrant linked to the arrest of Milwaukee County judge accepting a plea deal and agreeing to be deported from the U.S. after serving a federal prison term for returning to the country illegally. According to the plea agreement filed in the United States District Court, Eastern District of Wisconsin, Edward Flores Ruiz admits he returned to the country illegally after initially being deported in January of 2013. The document says that Flores Ruiz entered the country in Arizona. Unclear when he returned to the U.S. Immigration agents learned of his return after Milwaukee police arrested him in a domestic violence case involving roommates of his back on March 12th. Fingerprints in the arrest set off an alarm in the federal database linking his 2013 deportation. Records show the immigration officials signed a federal arrest warrant back on April 17th, and then they, of course, went to the courthouse and the whole thing with Hannah Dugan, and now he's going to serve some time, and then he's going to get deported afterwards. But her case obviously still ongoing. And U.S. President Donald Trump warning Israel, do not drop those bombs after it ordered powerful strikes on Iran. We had a ceasefire there for a little bit, and then it sounds like they decided to not go with the ceasefire, so maybe we're getting World War III. Sort of a back and forth. It seems like every hour or two we get, new news from the whole Iran-Israel thing.
Just going to keep my eye on that,
Yeah, the president writing, Israel, do not drop those bombs. If you do, it is a major violation. Bring your pilots home now. The warning comes after Trump announced the truce between Iran and Israel, which came into effect early this morning. Israel said it had agreed to the proposal, while Iran said it would stop attacking if Israel did the same. Israel's military subsequently said that it had intercepted a missile that was launched by Iran. Tehran denying fresh attacks. It's just, again, very fluid situation there. Hard to keep up with.
How much rain did you guys get? Do you know?
We don't have a rain measurement thing. My neighbor does across the street, but.
Well, let us know if you know how much you got, because it was a lot. My daughter came home yesterday. She was running a camp, and they were, playing in the rain and outside and whatever. Well, as you well know, the streets were flooded, and so there was cars just driving by her camp where they were stalling out. So camp counselors were pushing cars down the road in town at like 3, 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. So yeah, and Woodman's with the roof, and there was a lot of rain throughout the region yesterday.
Whenever it rains heavily, like a lot,
in a short amount of time,
we get some water in our basement. I'm not quite sure from where. I think it has to do with the window well that's underneath our outdoor bar kitchen area that we've got, but I'm not 100% sure. Because we have actually like a 2-foot overhang in the back of the house.
Should cover that plenty.
Which should cover that from water coming in. And it doesn't pool up in terms of, on the patio or on the cement pad that we've got over there by the pergola. So I don't know. I haven't really, maybe twice a year.
If you know how much you got, let us know. I know that I think they said about 2 inches at the airport, but I'm not really sure. But let us know throughout your area what you saw and if you got any flooding.
RockMornings.com to find all of our contact info. Listen to the show live. Check out the daily podcast. Right now, Rockfest music from 3 Days Grace.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find them online at rockmornings.com.
Van Halen, it's Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. The Brewers began a series against the Pirates last night. Didn't start off too well.
The fly ball shallow right. Here comes Reynolds. He makes the catch. Raise the Jolly Roger. What a win for the Bucks.
Boy, did they ever hang on. Pretty impressive stuff right there. I mean, had to patch it together with the bullpen. Donnie Kelly got as much as he could out of every one of these relievers.
Pirates with a 5-4 win over the Brew Crew last night, snapping the Brewers' 4-game winning streak. Same two teams tonight at 6:40 from Pittsburgh. Boston Celtics trading former Bucks star Drew Holiday to the Portland Trailblazers. Celtics will get Anthony Simons and 2 second-round draft picks. Portland moving aggressively to reacquire Drew Holiday, who the franchise originally got from the Bucks in the Damian Lillard trade back in 2023, and then later moved on to Boston. So trades are happening because the season is over and the draft begins tomorrow night. The first round of the 2025 NBA draft tomorrow at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. TV coverage on ABC and ESPN starts at 7 p.m. The draft second rounds will be held on the following night, on Thursday night, and that'll be on ESPN at 7 p.m. So far, the way that things will shake out in terms of who picks where and when, unless some changes are made with trades and whatnot, the Mavericks have the number 1 pick, looking to get Cooper Flagg. Then you've got the Spurs, the 76ers, the Hornets, the Jazz, the Wizards, the Pelicans, Nets, Raptors, and the Suns picking 10th. They got that pick from the Houston Rockets. After that, you can Google it or find it online. But the NBA draft starting tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, ABC and ESPN. The United States men's national team beating Haiti 2-1 at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas on Sunday to finish the 2025 CONCACAF Gold Cup group stage with 3 wins in 3 games.
USA, greatest country in the world.
United States men's national team will play Costa Rica, which finished as the runner-up to Mexico in Group A and next weekend's quarterfinals. So, yeah, soccer. As they say in soccer, let's do that soccer.
Let's.
Too much running around.
Man, when my eyes were opened a little bit I know you understand that soccer is huge in Europe.
Trust me, I get it.
Understand that, sure. But when I was there for that very brief visit and Carl drove us around London and every small town has almost like an NFL stadium. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's not just it's not just London. It's which obviously does. But you're driving through the countryside and you come across like a farm community and you can see it from it's just, giant stadiums for little time. And he's like, oh, yeah, it's the blood and life and breath of every walking European.
I don't get it, man. Soccer is not a thing I understand. I mean, I understand it, but I have zero desire to watch it or to be it doesn't interest me at all. At all. I could care. And they're skilled and talented and give them all the flowers, but man, I got no desire to watch any of that. No thanks. Last but not least, it's official. We pretty much knew this was the deal, but yesterday the news became official that Tyrese Halliburton, the Indiana Pacers star, did in fact tear his right Achilles tendon in Game 7 of the NBA Finals against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Halliburton, who played through a calf strain in the finals for an opportunity to win a championship, is now evaluating surgical options, but likely going to be done for the entire season next year.
Ouch.
Well, those take a while to come back.
They sure do.
Sports on Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. We'll let you know what's new on New Release Tuesday. A bit later on, we'll get to some more Rockfest music from Poppy. And if you want to get in touch with us, rockmornings.com.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene on your rock station.
And now, summertime tips from the elderly.
My wife of 48 years, God rest her soul, used to tell me that summer was a great time to do all those home and yard projects that you put off all year long. Boy, I'm glad she's gone.
That was a summertime tip from the elderly.
Ouch. Ouch. Got a text from Dan. Said yesterday before 7 p.m. I had 3 1/4 inches in Bangor. Didn't check this morning when I got up for work, however. Olger said between yesterday and last night, my rain gauge had just over 3 inches in Sparta, the west side of town. Yeah, we don't have one of those in our yard, but I know that my neighbor across the street does, and I'm sure if I see him today, he'll tell me how much was in his rain gauge after yesterday's storms. If you want to let us know how much rain you got, find our contact info online at rockmornings.com. Jean had to step out for a bit. She'll be back a little later on. So it's just the two of us hanging out. The series premiere of the 6-episode Ironheart miniseries on Disney Plus today. Riri Williams, who we first met in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, returns home to Chicago, builds herself an Iron Man suit after falling in with a charismatic villain. It's called Ironheart, and it's a 6-episode miniseries that premieres today on Disney Plus.
My stepdad used to say the best way to know a thing is to take it apart, put it back together, and you can see what it's really made of.
You should take your dad's advice. Break yourself down. See what you're made of.
Here goes nothing.
Ironheart, 6-episode miniseries on Disney Plus, premiering today. NBC tonight, America's Got Talent. Fox, you've got The 1% Club, followed by The Snake. Also on NBC tonight, Destination X. And new on Netflix, a stand-up special from Steph Tolev, the Filth Queen.
I went on one date with this little guy, and we went to Ripley's Aquarium. There's this really fun thing you can do where you can get on a scale and weigh yourself and see how much you'll be worth as a tuna. I don't know why I thought this was a really fun game to play on the first date, but I did. So like a gentleman, I let Buddy Boy hop on the scale first. He gets on, he's like $600 worth of tuna. I'm like, ew. I'm gonna be 100, maybe. So I saunter my huge hemorrhoid over to the scale. Hop on. $2,000 worth of tuna. No one wants $2,000 worth of tuna. I mean, it's a good haul, sure. Oh, sure, the fishermen are celebrating. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna feed a bunch of families.
Steph Tolev, Filth Queen, new stand-up special on Netflix today. Fallon's new with ScarJo, Jay Farrow, and Frankie Grande. Kimmel is being guest hosted tonight by Diego Luna. He's got Tiffany Haddish, Alan Tudyk, and Hermanos Gutierrez. Stephen Colbert has got John Cena. You won't be able to see him, however, because you can't see John Cena. And Charlize Theron is going to be on with Seth Meyers tonight. That's what's on the boob tube. New movies available on DVD today for New Release Tuesday. A Minecraft movie, rated PG, starring Jason Momoa and Jack Black and Jennifer Coolidge.
I am Steve. As a child, I yearned for the mines, but something always got in the way.
Go on! Get out of here!
But the call of the mines was too strong. So one day, I started digging and digging until I found this. A wonderland land where anything you can imagine is possible. As long as what you imagine can be built out of blocks.
Minecraft movie. It's like Jumanji, right? You get pulled into the game. Yeah. Snow White, rated PG, starring Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot. I think we know the story of this one.
This was my father's kingdom. A place of fairness. But the queen changed everything.
Take him away!
Your Majesty.
What did you say?
The people need some kindness.
You know, I really don't remember you being this opinionated. Magic mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest of them all?
Famed is thy beauty, Majesty. But the lovely maiden I now behold.
I look at you, and I just want to be the fairest of them all.
Snow White, rated PG, on DVD today for new release Tuesday. Also on DVD, rated R, The Monkey. Theo James, Adam Scott, twin brothers, Bill and Hal, find their father's old monkey toy in the attic. A series of gruesome deaths begin. Now, the deaths in this movie are gory and pretty good, but the storyline is a bit convoluted. It's called The Monkey.
You wouldn't happen to remember if my aunt had a wind-up toy monkey at the yard sale?
Oh, not a cherished childhood memory now, was it?
The coroner said it was an accident, but it was no accident. It was a monkey. When I was a kid, my twin brother and I found something that loved to kill.
Yeah, it was a monkey. And it pops back up into their lives many years later, and it's rated R on DVD today for new release Tuesday. Also, Novocaine, rated R, starring Jack Quaid and Jacob Batalon, a guy basically can't feel any pain.
So, what's your deal?
My deal? I'm just a regular guy with a regular job, but I've got this condition where I don't feel pain.
Hey, there we go. Oh my God, you're a superhero.
No.
Can you feel this?
Definitely feeling something.
You. Novocaine, rated R. New on DVD for new release Tuesday. Also, Doctor Who Season 1 must be a reboot. That'll be about it for new release Tuesday. It's Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Again, she had to step out for a little while. If you want to get in touch, visit our website, rockmornings.com. Got a text from Sarah, wanted to chime in on the amount of rain that she got yesterday. Said 2.5 inches by the Shelby ball fields, which is pretty close to where I live. So, yeah. My assumption is that most people got somewhere in the 2.5 to 3.5 inches. Ogre obviously said that he got some over in the Sparta area, just a little over 3 inches. Dan said 3 1/4 over by Bangor. So, again, my presumption is that most people got about the same amount. Thank you very much, though, for the totals. Appreciate it. We'll get to Grant Bills just after 8 a.m. this morning from the Wisco Sports Show. Going to be talking about nightmares later on as well. Breaking Benjamin coming up in just a bit. Right now, it's Lincoln Park.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find them online at rockmornings.com.
Breaking Benjamin, I Will Not Bow. Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. She stepped out for a little bit, but should be back sometime later on. Thanks again to Dan and Ogre and Sarah for updates on how much rain they got yesterday. It was a deluge at times. Big fat raindrops every once in a while. Don't have to water the lawn. Do got to mow it. Hopefully it'll stay dry enough to get that done at some point today. I'd like to get that taken care of early in the week. We'll see. There is some possibility of showers and thunderstorms in the area. It's starting to cloud up quite a bit where we're at. So it might be imminent. We'll see. I don't know if I'll even make it to 100. I highly doubt it. The way that I eat and drink. But if I do make it to 100, it's probably because I changed my life around and I'm going to the gym like this lady who's 100 years old and still crushing it at the gym. Apparently doing 5-minute planks.
The only thing I do is I exercise faithfully I don't eat red meat. I like to plank. It's fun.
Everybody, she just held a 5-minute plank.
I'm a lot younger than her, and I can't do that. Be kind, be happy, be fearless.
Some good advice. Be kind, be happy, be fearless. That is Geraldine Leo, a.k.a. Jerry Leo. Living example that age is just a number. Turned 100 this last April. Does not look 100 and says she doesn't feel it. Also showing no signs of slowing down. She is the pride of the Bay Shore's Great South Bay YMCA. A member there for a long time. Still going in at age 100 to do her workouts. Other members of the aerobics fitness class who are half of her age watch as the great-grandmother goes through her daily paces, crushing her workouts since Hawaii opened 34 years ago. Saying, as you heard, the only thing I do is exercise faithfully. I don't eat red meat. I have a good diet, Mediterranean they call it. Yeah, a lot of people swear by that Mediterranean thing. I don't know if I can give up red meat, man. I like prime rib too damn much. Hamburgers, steaks. Oh, yeah. Not sure if I could give that up. Also, just at the age of 100, just renewed her driver's license. Says she never smoked, but does have an occasional drink and Aperol Spritz. Jerry Leo, 100 years old. Doing 5-minute planks, having an Aperol every once in a while, and working out, crushing her workouts. Meanwhile, in Tennessee, a 4-year-old is credited with saving her teacher's life after the teacher had a seizure while in class. 4-year-old Kendall Bradley knows how to use the phone to call her mom. Unfortunately, does not know how to use the phone to call 911. Probably doesn't even know what it is. So the teaching staff at this Tennessee daycare, Kendall took action. The teacher collapsing, suffering a seizure. She was the only adult in the room at the time while the rest of the class stood there confused. Kendall ran to get help. She said, I told the teacher. I said the other teacher she was sick. The teacher came into the room, obviously saw what was going on, and was able to call 911. Paramedics on the scene found out the teacher who had had the seizure had stopped breathing twice. Rushed her to the hospital. She got the medical care she needs, is recovering. The staff of the daycare showing much love to Kendall. They were like, she's our hero for the day. The mom had no idea what the hell was going on. If she hadn't gone and got the assistant, this story could have gone a totally different way. She said, I never thought to introduce what to do if an emergency arises, so it was shocked to me that she knew exactly what to do in a situation like that. So, yeah. Just because they're young doesn't mean they can't learn things like that. 4-year-old Kendall helped save her teacher's life if she went down with a seizure. Ooh. Got Grant Bills going to join us about an hour from now. Wisco Sports Show host. We'll talk to him. Gene will be back at some point. Also got some music on the way from Papa Roach and Evanescence. And if you need something, rockmornings.com is the website.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Start your day with Rock Mornings.
Got a message on Facebook from my guy Pickles. Said, was a lot of rain in Rockland, but fence survived. Guess I kind of know what I'm doing. Said it was horrible this weekend, but got it done. Putting up a vinyl fence by myself sucks. Yeah. This weekend in the heat, what are you, psycho? 3.5 inches is what Pickles said they got out in Rockland. Also said that Megadeth is what he needed to get out of the car and go to work. So glad I could help you out with that. Pickles. Pick a better weekend. Oof. Massive amounts of humidity all weekend long, and you're out there putting up a vinyl fence? Ugh. No, thank you. I thought I was going to have to leave a concert early. That's how hot it was. I shouldn't have ate all those carbs. That's the problem. The food was so good, though. We were at Summer Jam in the VIP. They had cheese-filled tortellinis. They had like a bacon mac and cheese. Breaded and fried shrimp. Yeah. So your boy hammered that on Saturday when it was 9 billion degrees outside. trying to chase it with a couple of Steve Weisers. Didn't work out too well for me. Had to take about an hour, sit down and relax and get my wits about myself before we went back out there. It was just unrelenting, you know? Mentally, I check out too. It's not so much that physically I can't handle it, which this was the first time in a long time where physically I was like, nah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it past 5 o'clock. But mentally, I just sort of, as soon as it's really hot out, I just kind of mentally check out. I'm just like, I don't know how the hell I'm going to get through a day, but somehow I did. No way I'm putting up a vinyl fence and all that heat this past weekend. Thanks, though, Pickles. Appreciate it. Jean's out for a few minutes. She should be back sometime soon. Got some Evanescence and Papa Roach coming up in just a bit. I'm sure that you've heard the urban legend before about dying in your dreams, right? Supposedly, if you die in your dream, you die in real life. I mean, I think there's plenty of people that have died in their sleep, heart attack or otherwise, some sort of medical issue. I don't know if it has much to do with their dreams. But apparently a new study says that people who have a lot of nightmares are more likely to just drop dead. This is out of England, so take it for what it's worth. But researchers there tracking people for almost 2 decades, so 20 years worth of information and data. The ones who had nightmares at least once a week were 3 times more likely to die before the age of 70. They found having lots of nightmares also makes you age faster. So before the nightmares kill you, they'll make you look like a wrinkly old person, apparently. The researchers there in England think it's because our bodies respond to stress the same way they would in real life when we're sleeping and enjoying, or maybe not enjoying, but having nightmares. Quote, nightmares lead to prolonged elevations of cortisol, the stress hormone closely linked to aging faster. So while you're having nightmares, you're getting older, and you could just drop dead from a nightmare at some point. Well, that's good. I don't remember my dreams or nightmares. I mean, I'll wake up sometimes in the middle of the night, and I'll sort of have a hazy bit of memory, but within 5 to 10 minutes, it's gone. Jean, on the other hand, can remember her dreams vividly, and will come in here and tell me about them. It's been a while since she has, so she must not be having anything good, but there's times where she's coming in the past, and it's a scene, man. Yours truly, though, I can't remember my dreams at all. Again, I wake up, and I try to remind myself, too. I try to play a trick on myself and say, all right, we're going to remember this so that I can tell Jean about it, because I rarely ever remember my dreams. And then by the time I get out of the shower, 10 minutes later, it's a complete fart in the wind. It's gone. I don't remember it at all. So I don't know how that plays into this study, but apparently if you have a lot of nightmares, at least once a week, you're 3 times more likely to die early. That doesn't sound good at all. Evanescence in a few minutes. Right now, Papa Roach.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find the daily podcast at rockmornings.com.
Evanescence on Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. The Brewers losing to the Pirates last night 5-4, snapping their 4-game winning streak. The same 2 teams tonight at 6:40. Drew Holiday moving from Boston to Portland. He's going from the Celtics to the Trailblazers. Celts are getting Anthony Simons and a couple of second-round draft picks in exchange for Drew Holiday. NBA draft starts tomorrow, 7 o'clock on ABC and ESPN. Dallas Mavericks with the first overall pick, likely going to take Cooper Flagg. Netflix's Quarterback Season 2 on the way. Yesterday, we saw the trailer. Some of the big names agreeing to take part in this year's docu-series include the Bengals' Joe Burrow, Detroit Lions quarterback Jared Goff, and the Falcons' Kirk Cousins. All the focus of Season 2 of Quarterback.
It's my team. It's my quarterback.
Yeah. Season 2 of Quarterback. Should be interesting. Going to find out a little bit more about, maybe a little bit more about the break-ins. Joe Burrow, one of the victims. That crime ring that was breaking into famous athletes' houses, including Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Joe Burrow. And was it Bobby Portis, I believe? The Bucs. He got hit. Rockets trading for Kevin Durant. Tyrese Halliburton down with an injury. Jason Tatum also going to be out pretty much all season with an injury. So the odds of who's going to win the NBA championship next season have been shaken up. The Thunder, who beat the Pacers in Game 7 on Sunday night, head into the offseason as the favorites at plus 220 at ESPN Bet. Cavaliers and Rockets are next, each at plus 800, followed by the Knicks at plus 850. Celtics, who were the consensus favorites entering the previous two seasons, were 13-1. 13-1 to win the 2026 title at ESPN Bet. Celtics also, of course, dealing with a injury to Jason Tatum. Probably keep him out all of next season, but as of right now, the Thunder, the favorite to win it again next season, if you want to plop a couple of bucks down on that. And Travis Hunter signing a contract for one position, not two. Might play two positions, but he only gets one contract. Jaguars traded up on draft selection day to take him in the 2025 NFL draft, swinging a deal with the Cleveland Browns to make that possible. And on Sunday, the Jaguars announced that Travis Hunter had officially signed his rookie contract, the last top 10 pick to put pen to paper, and he's set to get $46.65 million over the course of 4 years with the Jags. That includes a $30.57 million signing bonus paid entirely up front. Said, I want my money and I want it now. I have a structured settlement, but I need cash now. Hunter, the first ever non-quarterback and non-number one overall pick to get the entirety of his signing bonus up front. So,
jeez.
Right? Yeah. It's some coin. I got things to pay for. I got stuff to buy.
Uh-huh. And I would like to be paid now.
Is he the one or is it Shador? I can't remember which one, but one of the two is involved in some litigation with some NIL deal stuff, too. I think it might be him. So maybe he needs that money to pay his lawyers. Yeah. Sports on Rock Mornings. Jean is back from her brief vacation. We got Grant Bills coming up. Is that what you wore on TV?
Yeah, this is what I wore on TV.
You didn't have a special TV shirt?
No.
No? How'd it go?
It was great.
Jean had to go be on TV to talk about Big River Rally, which is this weekend.
I was telling Dustin that I was talking to.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, in all of the time, I've been on location a bunch of times and been interviewed when TV stations are able to come to on site wherever we're at, But I think that was the first time I've ever been with a green screen in an actual TV studio doing an actual interview. Yeah. And all of this,
did you do the weather?
I didn't do that. I pretended, but I think that was the first time.
All right. Was it freaky?
Yeah.
Well, just be glad you didn't. Did they tell you not to wear green?
No.
So
they didn't. I had zero.
Floaty head lady. All right. You could have been floaty head lady. All right.
No directions at all.
Some Kill Switch coming up in just a bit. Also some Daughtry.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Weekdays, 6 to 9.
Are you ready for the best part about summer? It's not the beach or the nice weather. It's the construction. All the roads that you use most are going to be reduced to 2 lanes or less. Road cones, we've got them. Detours, you betcha. And don't forget, those speed limits have been reduced 20 miles an hour. If you're lucky, you'll even get to see 5 or 6 guys in hard hats standing around doing absolutely nothing while you wait in traffic. And don't you try to take the side streets. They're under construction too. The only ones that are open are the ones with potholes big enough to swallow your entire car. And like those traffic tickets, the fun is doubled in the summer construction zones. Enjoy it now before it's gone, even though it'll be back next year and the year after that, likely in the same spot. Summer construction.
That time of year where everywhere you turn, there's construction. Every road you try to drive on, they reroute you, they detour you, the bridge is closed. There's all sorts of equipment in our neighborhood. They're digging up everybody's front lawns. It's just a scene, man. Not on our street, but in our area, at least.
Yeah, it's construction season. That's what it is.
It's here. Yep. And obviously very hot. Last weekend, so hot.
Roads buckled?
Roads buckled, and a car went airborne. Did you see it?
I did not.
Right?
Why?
I don't know who was videotaping it. I don't know exactly. It's on Reddit, so you can go there and find it. But there's a video making its way around the internet showing a road that buckled under the heat in Cape Girardeau in Missouri. And as it happens, you see it happening on the video, and then a car comes along and yeets right over it. Goes airborne. I mean, it's not like crazy, but it's enough to send the car fully into the air. Somebody was videotaping right at the exact time that the road buckled, and then the car went right over it.
Gee.
Yeah, that's how hot it was last weekend. It was crazy. It was funny. We were driving down the highway. It was on our trip from Eau Claire back to La Crosse on Saturday morning for the Great River Harley-Davidson grand reopening and anniversary party that I emceed. And there's a sign in the road that just says bump, and you see it, and you hit it, and both my wife and I at the same exact time said, oh, that really is a bump.
Yep, that was a big one.
It was.
I saw just this morning, even the East Coast is still like they're 105 today and stuff. That heat's just moving across the country, and
it's going to warm back up this weekend, and we're looking at I don't want to say mild, but better than this past weekend temperatures today and tomorrow, and then 80-ish on Thursday, and then back into the mid 80s on Friday and into the 90s on Saturday. So it is going to warm up again. Did see a guy on Sunday at the Lager game. We were on the party deck on the patio out there in right field, sitting underneath the canopy that they've got, so we were in the shade at least, but it was still brutally hot. And there was a guy that came out there, only one of them, had jeans on and a hoodie.
Okay. Well, maybe he needed to cover.
I don't know.
He needed to cover up.
But apparently he's not alone. Somebody went on social media and asked a question to the people who wear hoodies when it's 90 degrees outside, why? And here are some of the better answers. Number one, I always wear it. It's like a security blanket thing. Now, I enjoy wearing my hoodies. I have a lot of hoodies.
I enjoy them,
too. They're comfortable.
Right. But not when it's 100 degrees out.
But not outside when it's 90 degrees.
Security blanket or not, that's not happening.
This is a statement I can relate to. Again, somebody asking online, to the people who wear hoodies when it's 90 degrees outside, why? I try to hide my boobs. I'm a man.
Yeah.
So it's some sort of body issue, right? Some sort of, I don't look good, so I'm going to wear the hoodie.
And the T-shirt gets a little wet, little moist, gets sticky.
Well, the hoodie's usually bigger and gives me a little bit of room.
Even if you wear a big T-shirt, it can sometimes, be clammy onto you. You know?
I don't want to get bit by bugs, especially mosquitoes.
That's why I was wondering, covering up.
They make long sleeve shirts that are thinner and maybe offer as much protection as a hoodie.
You mean the ones that are wicking and they are breathable and that kind of thing? Is that what you're saying?
Number 4, everybody is blasting so much AC that it makes me cold.
Not sitting outside at a ball game per se, but walking around or going into businesses or restaurants. And I almost take a sweater whenever
I wear a hoodie at my house because it's nice and chilly in there, which is how I like it. Because I want to walk the dog without throwing a bra on every time.
I understand that.
I've got a wife and she understands that. My hoodies look awesome. I'm trying to shoplift. I don't know, why do people wear shorts in 30-degree weather?
I'm trying to shoplift. That one was thrown in there out of nowhere.
I think someone was being facetious. But that is the number 10 on the list is actually a pretty good one because as a person who wears shorts year-round, I get asked that question all the time. You do know it's 30 degrees outside. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm very comfortable wearing shorts when it's 30 degrees outside. Now, if I'm going to be outside in 20 or 30-degree weather for an hour or two or...
Different from walking from the building to your truck and then your truck to the house. But if you're going to be shoveling or doing something for a long period
I can see the hoodie, same principle. If your building that you work in is air-conditioned and it's chilly, or maybe keep a hoodie at work. I'm not wearing it when it's 90 degrees outside at a baseball game. But yeah, a bunch of people wearing hoodies when it's really hot outside. Mm-hmm. Somebody asking why. A lot of interesting answers. Also, in regards to the heat, a doctor in the UK is trending because she said that milk is apparently the perfect drink for hot weather.
It was too hot to touch.
Yeah.
I think I've heard this before about milk.
Milk, 87% water. Takes longer to digest because of the sugar, protein, and fat, so it keeps you hydrated longer than the water does.
Okay. Yay for America's Dairyland. Here we go, milk.
It's also got sodium to help your body hold on to the water, so in other words, it's packed with electrolytes.
Milk was a bad choice.
Milk is a good choice.
If you're vegan or you can't drink regular milk, the doctor in the UK says that soy milk works as well. But apparently milk could be the perfect drink for a heat wave.
Is it cheese made of moose milk?
Yes.
Milk meat fucker?
I don't think about that. No, I don't.
Is it just milk or is it any kind of dairy products?
I think it's milk. I have
Just the
heard
milk,
that
huh?
before, that it's, a lot of it's water, so you're keeping hydrated. And it can cool your body down, and it can provide nutrients, and drinking it during a heat wave might be weird or seem uncomfortable or like, really, am I slamming this big glass of cold milk? But it really can do wonders for your... It's a refreshing option in a heat wave, Brian. That's what you got to say to yourself.
Got a text from someone who said, I bet your AC was just screaming this last weekend with how cold you like your house. It's fine. I have the guys over to look at it every year, make sure it's ready to go. I got it cleaned out. I got it all, running up to snuff. It's not out there, making noises and stinking up the joint. It's good. It's good to go. But yeah, it's nice and cold in my basement.
Well, and thankfully,
I want to be
for the
comfortable.
most part, a lot of outdoor work for contractors and construction people and all of that stuff took a little bit of a break over the weekend when the temperatures were so extreme, and it was fell on a Saturday and Sunday for the most part. Obviously, I know people work outside 7 days a week, but at least there was a little reprieve from that.
As of right now, it looks like just a 15% chance of rain today on my weather app from what I'm seeing in our area. Obviously, it's cloudy. Looks like it might rain. But
Yeah, it definitely looked like it was going to rain a little bit on my way back from
then it looks like by tomorrow morning it's going to increase, and we should get some showers and thunderstorms tomorrow, 8, 9, 10 o'clock, somewhere around there, based on what the weather app is saying.
Pretty likely, yeah. Pretty likely you're going to see it tomorrow and then again possibly on Thursday. But drying out and pretty nice for Friday and Saturday.
Our buddy Grant Bills is going to join us just after 8 o'clock. We got bad news, happy music to get to. Right now, Five Finger Death Punch.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find them online at rockmornings.com.
Rock Mornings with Brian, Gene, and
that guy.
Our very own Grant Bills, host of the Wisco Sports Show, who joins us every Tuesday at about 8:15. You can hear Grant Bills on the Wisco Sports Show weekday afternoons from 4 until 6. On stations all across the state like WKTY in La Crosse and Sports Talk 105.1 in Eau Claire. How are you, sir?
I'm excellent, both of you. This is my favorite 10 or 15 minutes of the week, or certainly my favorite 10 and 15 minutes on Tuesday.
Wow, we get 15 to 10
I'll take
minutes
it.
on a Tuesday. That's
If I
nice.
can be somebody's favorite anything for 10 minutes in a week.
Well, it's a long
win.
week. I mean, there's a lot of windows in there.
Yeah, I was on the phone with Grant the other day, actually, on the way back from my rock stop.
Talked to him on the show?
Yeah, I heard him talking about the Packers, and you know how sensitive Grant is about his stupid Packers, and he was talking about how...
What?
He's like, the Packers, and they seem to just do this to people at the end of their career, and they're really mean to all these veterans, and
Is
blah,
that
blah,
what
blah,
you
blah,
said?
blah.
Oh my
And it's a
gosh.
unique...
Doesn't sound like
No,
you.
this is the part that got me. He's like, it's a uniquely Packer problem. It never happens anywhere else in the NFL. And I called him to say, bitch, it happens everywhere. And he even mentioned that he looks through everything in rose-colored glasses because he knows he is.
I don't think I said any of the things you just said. I did talk about that. And I do wonder if the Packers, they're a little stuffy, and I think they're a little high and mighty. And sometimes, maybe we don't need to piss off every high-level Packer on their way out the door. Sometimes it happens, you're right, because that's the NFL.
It's a business, and you have to get rid of aging talents before it becomes aging untalented.
Or aged talent.
Yes.
Yeah, the old adage, right, is move off a year early rather than a year late. And the Packers have done that plenty. I'm not arguing with the timing. The execution seems to be crummy. I think that's what I was talking about.
It was nice to be on the phone with you briefly, Grant Bills, at the end of your show last Thursday.
On your shows across the state of Wisconsin, including here in La Crosse and in Eau Claire.
Nice.
Yeah.
He does have and thank you again, Gene, for pointing that out. He does have a tendency to call in, and I don't have a call screener. My show is not big time like the two of you. So I just ask callers, who's this? And he always says, you know who it is. Which used to throw me for a loop, but now he's done it enough that I know it's him. So very self-important as always, but that's why we love you, Brian.
Grant Bills, host of the Wisco Sports Show, joining us each and every Tuesday. Let's get into the sports stuff before we start messing around with some of the other crap.
Sure.
NBA Finals, Oklahoma City Thunder get the win. Do you think it would have been different if Halliburton had not been fully injured? Let's just assume that he stayed in the game without the full Achilles tear with the strained calf. Do you think it would have been a different outcome?
Yeah, I kind of think the Pacers would have won. And we'll never know And that shouldn't make Oklahoma City fans feel any worse, right? Because a lot of times teams win titles and an opposing player gets hurt. And that's just the way that it works. But the way that game felt and the way that the series had gone, like the Thunder basically either had to run away with the game or the Pacers were going to get him in crunch time. And the way that Haliburton had been playing so far, he had a great first quarter. And I thought the Thunder seemed a little tight. Game 7s at home can be tough because the home crowd feels the pressure. It's not like a Game 2 or a Game 4. I think Game 7s are a little different. Yeah, I kind of think the Pacers would have won. And it would kill me if I'm a Pacers fan to go through the rest of my life wondering what if. I guess for the rest of us, it'll just kind of mildly annoy us. But I can't imagine how Pacers fans feel.
Given the fact that Haliburton will be out for a season, Jason Tatum likely going to be out for a season, what's your prediction for next? I know it's really early, but what's your prediction for next year's Eastern Conference? I mean, it looks like the Knicks, maybe the Cavs, maybe the Bucks will be back in it if Giannis, asserts himself and decides he wants to dominate the league. What's your assumption when it comes to 2026?
We talked about this with Bill on Bill's show yesterday, and I don't really know. The Orlando Magic are kind of this plucky team that people like talking about. That seems a little too rich for me. That seems like some basketball nerds who are like, no, the Magic guys. I'm like, still the Magic. It is wild, though, Brian and Gene, because before this postseason started and during the postseason when the draft lottery was set and we kind of knew where Cooper Flagg, the top pick, was going to end up, he's going to go to the West. As is, by the way, the second overall pick, whoever that is, they'll go to the West too, San Antonio. And we're pointing out all the superstars are in the West. The top 2 lottery picks are going to the West. Like, look at how imbalanced this thing is. And then in the postseason, Jason Tatum, Damian Lillard, and Tyrese Haliburton get hurt. 3 of the most important players in the East. So it is going to be absolutely wide open next year. And Bucks fans, I guess, take solace in the idea that I don't know that any of these teams are insurmountable. A healthy Celtics team, I think, and maybe a healthy Pacers team. At least that's what the last 2 years would tell us. But now, I don't know. I think you can have some hope about Giannis and whatever they put around him, because I think he's undisputably the best player in the conference, and that still means something.
Grant Bills, host of the Wisco Sports Show, on the phone with us each and every Tuesday morning, talking about Mizorowski. How do you keep it in your pants? How do you keep it in your pants when you're watching him? Because he's so effing good.
How do I keep it in my pants?
Wow, that's a different
question.
I've
been pretty pantsed up. I forgot to bring him up last night because he hadn't pitched since Friday.
Right, and the Friday...
So when I started my show last night...
The Friday show was spectacular. I mean, you take a perfect game into the 6th, you give up that bogus walk, which should have been a 2-2 count, in my opinion, watching all 4 of those pitches at the bar, and then giving up, of course, the home run to lose the no-hitter bid, and they get him out of there, obviously, right away. Still gets the win, but the guy is obviously... is it because batters and hitters haven't figured him out yet, or is he just that effing good?
Well, that's absolutely part of it. It's this alien guy that you've never seen before. But also, it's pretty hard to figure out 102 and a cutter/slider that's, harder than most pitchers' fastballs, and a changeup and a curveball that are pretty good, too. Like, he's going to match up against Paul Skeens tomorrow, who is maybe the best starter in baseball. I don't know how you rank such things, but he's dating Livy Dunn. He's the ace of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
He's certainly...
Yeah, I figured.
If I was to start a staff right now, I would put Skeens on it immediately. He'd be my first pick.
Yeah.
He's young, and he throws heat, and the guy's really good. And he just happens to be on the one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball, and that would be the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are a suck team and a suck town.
They stink. Beautiful ballpark, though. Or so people say. It looks beautiful. I'd like to go someday. A lot of rainouts, though, which bothers me. I think Mizorowski has better stuff than Skeens. I don't think he's a better pitcher, but his fastball's harder. His cutter's harder. I think his stuff has more movement. Tomorrow, we're going to see a matchup of maybe the best pitcher in baseball and a guy who has the stuff that could lend to him one day being the best starter in baseball, and maybe in short order. And that's going to be a really fun game. I would bet that it'll go quickly. So for those who are buying tickets to the game to go tomorrow, maybe you're in and out in 2.5 hours. I wouldn't wait until later in the game to get loaded up on beers. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. That's going to be a game I'm actually going to watch on the MLB Network, because it looks like it's going to be a hell of a matchup between those two guys, Mizorowski and Skeens. Grant Bills, again, on the phone with us each and every Tuesday, courtesy of the Wisco Sports Show. His his show that he hosts every afternoon, weekday afternoon from 4 until 6, which you can hear on stations all across Wisconsin like WKTY in La Crosse and Sports Talk 105.1 in Eau Claire. Brewers, otherwise, was there a trade, I believe, with the Yankees? I think. Did I see a trade that happened with the Yankees recently?
They got Rob Zastryzny for a bag of money.
Okay.
And he's been, a nice little reliever they can use. And he's in between a crunch time reliever and a garbage time reliever, which those guys are important. Just need to eat an inning in the fifth when your starter stinks.
Yeah. And so no reaction to that?
Not really,
okay.
No. Players who are traded for a bag of money typically aren't anything crazy impactful.
I'd like to be.
What, traded for a bunch of money?
Bag
No
of money.
kidding.
I don't think
I'll
you
take a
get
big
the money.
bag
The
of money.
company gets the money,
I don't
Gene.
get
That's
the
not how it
money.
works.
Dang it.
On to the fun stuff. You're going to a wedding this weekend. Is that correct? Did I hear you?
Yes, we are. And for the first time in forever, this is a wedding that's not multiple hours away, which is kind of nice.
And you're not in it, which cuts down on the expense.
Also not in it. This is the Goldilocks zone. Because I am either this week or next getting fitted for a tux rental for a wedding in August, and it's like $280.
Yeah.
Welcome to the real world.
And is that somebody you really like, that you're in this $280 tux wedding thing? Is that just like...
Well, you must be if you're in the wedding. It
Yeah.
must be somebody close to you,
One
right?
of my best buddies, yeah.
Okay, so then you shouldn't complain
Are
about
you running out of
$280.
best buddies getting married? Are you to the end of this
Are
list
you the
yet?
last one?
No, I'm reading the room. I don't think I'm going to be the last one.
Okay.
I'm going to be in the second half,
Uh-huh.
but I won't be the last one.
All right.
And you've been with your woman for how long?
It will be, I always love when you ask me questions like this, 4 years in September.
Oh, yeah, you got to ring it. You don't have to get married, but you got to ring it, or else you're in big trouble. Because if you don't do that, then you're not making
What are you
a
doing?
declaration
What are
of
we
your
doing
intentions.
here? What are we doing here?
Yeah, parents are going to stop inviting you to the
want, like,
cabin. There's not going to be a lot of pontoons. You're going to be kind of just you're going to be shunned.
Engagement.
You're going to need it because you know how long it takes to plan an effing wedding nowadays, dude. It takes a long ass time.
God. Do you know how much a wedding costs?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's why it takes a long time because
Yes.
you gotta
save up for it.
and you have to book the
Unless you
venue
guys
2
have
years in
talked,
advance.
have you had conversations about what that could look like? And maybe it's just a rendezvous somewhere else, and she's totally cool with
Oh
that.
man, her family is not having that with a cabin. They got a cabin. Cabin people don't allow that to happen. Are you kidding me?
Is that a thing?
I don't want it. They don't have a cabin. Where did you
Somebody's
get
got a cabin.
Do you, like on a dock?
Well.
Can you just do that? Can you go to City Hall?
You said you went to
Can
somebody's cabin. You're going to cabins all the time. Whose cabin are you going to?
Well, my parents, their house is on a lake.
There you go. So then your parents won't
They
allow
don't-
that.
they don't
You're not
have a
going to.
second
Yeah.
vacation
So I just knew whatever. I didn't hear who had the cabin, but somebody's got a cabin, and there is not going to be a little
If
rendezvous.
you haven't had a discussion about
Elope.
maybe what that looks like and how it could be really simple, then yeah. I mean, this will be year 2 on signing the lease together, right? I mean, you're up for renewal, aren't you?
I would like. Oh, you need to renew leases months and months and
So,
months.
but this
and
will be
months in
year 2,
advance.
living together.
Correct.
Has there been any discussion about purchasing property together as opposed to renting?
With what funds? With what instrument am I supposed to do that, Simpson?
But you can talk about it without having the bag of money.
We bought our first house without any money. We ended up paying just about the same in mortgage as we did in rent. It wasn't that much of a jump. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, right.
You'd be surprised. Grant, grow up, Peter Pan. Seriously.
Come on now.
Stop being a little boy. Grow up and be a man.
I work in radio. I spend my Tuesday mornings joining your rock show. You can't tell me to grow
I
up.
worked in radio.
Yes.
When I got married 13
And
years
I'm
ago, I was
appreciative
working in
of it.
radio. I was working here. You think I make any effing money? No.
Grant, we appreciate you being part of the program every week. We're just saying, if you're in the second half of you should start thinking about it. That's all we're saying.
We're thinking.
Okay.
We're talking.
There.
There's
You're
no
having
mystery
conversation.
here. It's
okay. Good.
It's
That's
a practical matter. Simpson, you can't. I mean, look. If you can go to the courthouse and sign your thing and that's your wedding, that's fine. It's just I can't. She, you know.
I know.
She wants her special day.
Yes.
All the friends. Don't you want your friends and your loved ones there?
Yes.
Don't you want to spend a day with all the
Yes.
most important people in your life?
Yes.
It's not free.
That part might be a little overrated. The meal
I'm
is
asking
nice.
the wrong
You gotta
guy.
have
Yeah.
a special
the meal
savings
was
account
nice.
for
The
that.
meal
You
was
used to
good.
got to get an account for that. You got to be putting changes in that right now.
Well, have fun on your little wedding trip to Fort Atkinson to the wedding that you're going to.
Yes.
It's 30. I Google Maps it a couple weeks ago. It's 37 minutes away.
Are you staying in a hotel or are you
perfect.
coming back?
Nope, we're driving. And
They have
again,
to. They got to
we
put
are
the
not
money
the
in the.
closest friends at this wedding.
They got to put the change in the bucket. They can't stay overnight in a hotel. Am I right, Grant? You got to keep the change in the bucket to get this wedding thing done.
Yeah, that's going to the wedding fund. We will put the card in the basket, enjoy a meal, dance, and then when the mood strikes us, we will leave. This is not. I will not be reaching the finish line of this wedding.
Are you guys pooping with the door open yet? Have I asked you that?
Why would anyone poop with the door open?
That's not a Grant thing. Thanks, Grant. We'll talk to you next
You'll see,
Tuesday.
dude. You'll see. You'll become intimately aware of all the pooping stuff. As
Thank
you
you,
get older.
They put doors on the bathroom for a reason. I appreciate you both. Yeah, have a good day.
Did it get awkward? Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Thanks to our buddy Grant Bills, host of the Wisco Sports Show. You can hear him weekday afternoons from 4 until 6 on stations all across the state like WKTY in La Crosse and Sports Talk 105.1 in Eau Claire.
It's a good guy.
I'm just, trying to bust his balls a little bit.
I know you are.
Doc texted in, said, save money, Grant, get married at Rockfest. 1, Grant is not going to Rockfest. 2, end of story.
It's not his.
No. Yeah, I could see Grant going there for Slaughter to Prevail and the Wall of Death, which I'm sure Grant doesn't even know what that is. What's a Wall of Death? Here, stand right here. Why are all the people over there and over there?
Because he's a
I don't
musician,
know.
but
No,
that's not his.
That ain't the kind of musician he is.
No.
All right, James Taylor and what's his guy? Jimmy Buffett. They're not doing Walls of Death, okay?
No.
That's not
It's a lot
happening
more
at
chill.
a Parrot Head show.
It's not a lot
No.
more sit back and
I'm
chill.
sure Grant's never even heard of a Wall of Death.
Oh, I bet he has.
I'd be willing to bet money he probably never heard of one until today. Bad News Happy Music is coming up.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. More from Brian and Gene is coming up.
You're about to enter a beautiful, exciting, wonderful new world.
A cockroach living in your nostril. Now that's just nasty. Add in some haven't pooped for 30 days.
Poop is raining from the ceilings. Poop.
And sprinkle in some hashtag Florida Man for flavor.
Florida man.
Florida man.
Florida man.
Florida man. Florida man.
Florida man.
Florida man quits his Burger King job, steals all of their chicken nuggets.
It's bad news.
Bad news.
With happy music.
Let's rock.
Hashtag Florida Man getting started in Davenport, Florida, to be exact. The police in Davenport got a call a couple weeks ago, June 9th, from a homeowner's neighbor who was watching the house of the homeowner while they were away.
Okay, he was he was taking care of the place.
Just keeping an eye on things, you know. Our neighbors have done the same to us. Like, hey, we're going to be out of town. Would you mind keeping an eye on it? Let me know if
And
anything
he saw
happens.
something happening. Somebody was in his pool. What was going on?
The neighbors said they saw lights turn on and off inside the house.
Yeah, somebody's living there.
So the cops showed up to check it out, and they found a guy inside the house just making dinner.
You're not home.
Also just had run himself a nice warm bath. Had just finished filling up the bathtub.
You're also not home.
Admitted that he didn't have permission to be there.
No.
And did not know the owners of the house either.
It was open, though.
But not some homeless guy who just broke in looking for a place to stay. Apparently married, has his own home, but didn't want to go back to his house because he and his wife were fighting.
What's the biggest mistake you made at your wedding? Honey, I love you, but said I do.
Yeah, so he and his wife apparently had a very big fight. He didn't want to go home because his wife was super angry.
And a hotel was out of the question?
And so he was there for 4 days, avoiding his wife, just hanging out in this random stranger's house, making himself dinner and running himself a nice warm bath.
And hell, I might even get on top of my wife tonight. See y'all later. God bless you, ladies and gentlemen.
Was he another neighbor who, knew these people and knew that they were out of town?
Doesn't sound like it.
He just came upon a house and was like, this'll work. Me and the wife are fighting. I'll just take
4 days this guy was hanging out in these people's house.
Sleeping in their bed, I'm sure, right? Getting up in the morning, getting ready for work.
Little Goldilocks situation going on there.
Making some dinner, taking a bath. Do you take a bath?
The guy's name is Joe. No last name was given. He's 44, cooking himself dinner. Just had himself a luxurious bath. We assume the bath temperature was not too hot, not too cold, but just right, said the Polk County officials.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Referencing Goldilocks and the Three Bears. The 44-year-old justified the infraction by revealing that he had gotten into a fight with his wife 4 days earlier and broke into the random house to avoid returning home to face her wrath. And despite the excuse, Joe was hit with felony unarmed burglary, misdemeanor petite theft, and domestic battery as well. And boy, oh boy, I bet she was pretty angry to get that phone call. You know how I didn't come home for the last 4 days because we were in a fight? Now I need you to come bail me out of prison.
Because I was kind of living somewhere that I broke into.
Yeah, so there's that.
And then I moved, you see, to Hollywood. And, well, that's when I met my wife, Morgan Fairchild.
Maybe some divorce proceedings in the future for that guy. This dude is in Spain. He's a 70-year-old Spanish beekeeper. You know some beekeepers?
I do know them. They're not Spanish, but yes.
Spanish beekeepers? You don't know any Spanish beekeepers?
I know a Holman beekeeper.
A 70-year-old Spanish beekeeper was so upset about being stopped by traffic police that he set his bees on the officer, causing them to take shelter in a restaurant.
Bees! Bees! Bees in the car! Bees everywhere! God, they're huge! They're ripping my butt off!
Son, roll around. Did you hear me? Roll around on the ground.
Forget that! I'm starting to swell up!
Save yourself! Don't be the hero!
Your firearms are useless against them!
Yeah.
So, like, he's like sick them and he lets them loose and then they just swarm on the police officers?
A local police patrol, noticing that the driver of a van wasn't wearing a seatbelt, was driving erratically, so they pulled the guy over. Maybe it's because his van was filled with bees.
You won't believe what's back here.
The 70-year-old man immediately set the tone of the interaction with the phrase, quote, "I should have run you over." And things only got worse from there.
Oh, that's a little angry.
Police suspected that the man was under the influence of alcohol. They asked him to take a breathalyzer test, which yielded a result of 0.38 mg/L, which I don't know what that means in Spain, but
sounds high.
When they asked him to repeat the procedure to confirm the first reading, the driver then became really upset and threatened to kill the police.
He's escalated it too quickly.
The irritated beekeeper said, "Now I'm going to kill you." Shouting at the officers. Before they could even react, he went to the back of his van, unleashed a swarm of bees that immediately started attacking the policemen. The two policemen that were there, stung several times, had to flee the scene and take refuge in a nearby restaurant, while the beekeeper casually got in his car and drove off. After calling for reinforcement, the policemen were able to leave the restaurant, track down the elderly beekeeper. The unarmed man was arrested but released on bail just hours later after giving a statement.
Well, I think if he kept the queen, they should all return too, won't they? He'll get them all back.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the police officers were taken to the hospital, administered cortisol to mitigate the effects of the bee stings. This guy, though, out there driving around with a van full of bees and just releasing them on anyone who comes across his path.
Oh, no, not the bees! Not the bees! Ah! Open my eyes! Eyes! Ah! Ah!
He said he wanted to kill him.
That doesn't sound good. Not good at all. Elsewhere in the bad news with happy music. British Columbia. The closest living relatives of an 84-year-old widow who left her $1 million estate to a much younger, quote, professional companion and male escort have now been given the go-ahead to challenge the will. Janet Henry executed her final will and testament in August of 2021, 3 months before she died, leaving the bulk of her estate to a guy named Simon Garstin, Garstin. Jillian and Ross Sutherland McCroney, her niece and nephew, are now seeking to have the will overturned, which would open the door for them to potentially inherit the money.
There's movies based on this exact situation almost.
I wonder why there's movies. Probably because this exact situation has come across the court docket every once in a while.
Did she recently get involved with the male
The thrust of the plaintiff's claim is that the deceased was subjected to undue influence by Mr. Garston.
How long does it say how long the undue?
A presumption of undue influence is established when the nature of the relationship between the parties demonstrates the potential for domination. To rebut the presumption, the deceased must be shown to have prepared his or her will of his or her own full, free, and informed
Well, that
thought.
should be the case, yes.
The decision explained that Henry had no children and her husband died 17 years before she did. So she's sitting on this money, no kids, nobody to give it to.
And this guy sidles up.
And this escort, who was probably much younger than her, according to the court documents, he was a sidler. Following her husband's death, the deceased apparently enjoyed retaining and paying for the services of various male escorts for the purpose of companionship and sexual services.
Of course, that's exactly why you hire a male escort. Why else?
Apparently, Henry, the woman, the dead woman, and Garston met online on Skype in February of 2021 and in person for the first time in April. She didn't wait around. She doesn't have a lot of time on her hands.
But then she died, like in June, wasn't it?
Over the next 6 months, the pair had a number of overnight visits, meeting in person for the last time when Garston stayed at Henry's home for 3 nights in October. The sexual and companionship services that Mr. Garston provided were paid for by the deceased at agreed-upon prices, which were not insignificant. So this guy was milking that cow for a long time.
She was willing and able.
And probably knew there was a significant amount of money still left.
So far, everything sounds okay, as long as she was of sound mind and body.
The relative's notice of civil claim argues that the will should be set aside because Henry was vulnerable and lonely, particularly due to COVID-19 restrictions in place at the time, and that her relationship with Garston was a transactional one where he was in position of dominance and control. Garston, in his response, the escort,
I'm sure,
argued that the opposite was true. His claim said Henry was an independent single woman who enjoyed his company on her terms, adding that the fact that Henry paid him made him financially dependent on her, meaning the deceased was in a position of dominance over him. The case is set to go to trial at the end of the month. Garston, however, asking the judge to strike the relative's claim entirely on a number of grounds, including that there was no triable issue and that the niece and nephew's claim was doomed to fail.
Well, you would think that if the lady, I don't know, if she has that much money and she's been in that situation her whole life, you would think that her lawyer has been the same person for a very long time and could speak to like her state of mind and whether she was, willing to make those appointments and make that.
You're not just scrawling that on a napkin in your home because you got some good,
No.
Some good D.
Mm-hmm.
Garston comes over and gives her the D, and the next thing you know, she's rewriting the will.
Or that he's coercing her to say that. You think hopefully you could get to the bottom of that. But a niece and nephew, so way down the line on.
But if she doesn't have any
money,
if she doesn't have any kids,
she doesn't.
Then they would be right in line with it. You would think that they would be. Last but not least,
tell me.
Bad news with happy music. A now deleted post from Reddit's r/Tampa subreddit made some very embarrassing accusations against the Nature Boy. Woo! AKA one Ric Flair. Claiming that he's been causing trouble at bars and restaurants around Florida this year and not in the way that fans are used to. Because let's be honest, when the Nature Boy shows up at your bar, it's probably going to be some stuff that happens.
Good for you, I would imagine.
Wow, we've seen incidents,
that to
though.
happen.
Well, maybe not in this case.
No.
The post alleged that Flair had soiled himself multiple times while out drinking and has been now kicked out of several establishments, especially around Tampa's Water Street area.
That's not good.
Quote, does Ric Flair keep coming to your restaurant and bleeping himself? Man has bleeped himself like 6 times this year, drunk ASF at bars and other restaurants. He gets thrown out of Water Street places all the time. Anybody in the service industry having to deal with this bleep too. S-word bleep, by the way. Not P-word. Not number 1, number 2. The post, of course, quickly grabbing the attention
of
everyone around before it got removed. Not the first time Flair's behavior, however, has sparked headlines. Just last year, he apparently got into a dispute with a kitchen manager. We saw this, right, about the tipping and all that stuff. was asked to leave the restaurant. This was a pizza place in Gainesville.
Yeah, but there's a big difference between a dispute between a bill and soiling yourself on a repeated basis. Yeah. That's a big difference.
Legendary partier, though, Ric Flair, apparently pooping himself in restaurants in the Tampa area. So much so that they had to create a Reddit.
Did they?
We'll see. It got deleted, so there's not a lot of information about this one. Just somebody tossing a grenade into the room and seeing what happens. But the Nature Boy, woo! Ric Flair.
Somebody, doesn't he have a handler or somebody that's with him that's like, hey, dude, you can't, like, hey, you know what?
I think he's got a manager, someone, but not like a PA, not like a personal assistant, someone that travels with him.
Hey, you need to stop going out.
Oh, you're not going to stop that.
Stop soiling yourself? Are you really soiling yourself?
Well, maybe get him some Depends. Like, hey, look, dude, if you got problems, let's.
No, he needs to know. No. Just
so there's
curb that behavior.
Got a text from Pam. Said, hey, Brian and Gene, today is my son's 20th birthday. His name is Jack, and he was with us in Nashville when we saw you, Brian. If time permits, can you please give him a happy birthday shout out? And he'd love to hear some Metallica if possible. That's what we were doing in Nashville, is going to see Metallica.
And you saw them there, and happy birthday.
Yeah, out of the umpteen thousand people.
You're right.
We just happened to walk around we left the wrong exit, so we had to walk basically around the entire stadium to get to the exit that we needed to get out of.
And then you run into people you know.
Run into people I knew from lacrosse, yeah. So happy birthday, Jack. Happy 20th.
For sure.
Your mom, Pam, wanted us to wish you a happy birthday, so happy birthday. Here's your Metallica.
Rock Mornings with Brian and Gene. Find them online at rockmornings.com. Call.
Hello.
Email.
I tried emailing you.
Text. So many ways to check in with us. Check. We rely on you guys for traffic updates, requests, and all sorts of other stuff.
Check this out.
Visit the website, rockmornings.com, for all of our contact info. Listen to the show live as well. Daily podcast on there. Prizes. All sorts of stuff.
Yeah, sign up for sure. Let us know where you're working tomorrow. Workforce Wednesday. I love to hear the different locations. It's awesome.
Text from Pam wanted us to wish her son, Jack, a happy 20th birthday. Also wanted to hear some Metallica, which we just did. Happy birthday, Jack. She said, thank you. He's happy with the song choice. You're welcome, dude. Not too many Metallica songs are only 2 minutes and 17 seconds. So
it's a gift when they're
Doc,
that short.
Texting in earlier when we were talking to Grant Bills, you said, save money, Grant, get married at Rockfest. Grant and his dirty mustache are not going to Rockfest.
And more importantly, Grant's woman is not getting married.
I don't know. I don't know very much about her. I met her once.
She's not getting married at Rockfest.
She seems like a lovely young lady.
Very
She's
lovely.
definitely
She's
not
also not getting married at
married.
Rockfest. That's not happening. But I get what you're saying, Doc. I've seen it happen. It happens every year.
Talking about the heat earlier, people wearing hoodies in the heat, kind of questioning their sanity. Brandon said, I'm a welder in this heat. I'd rather work outside in it.
I'm sure of that.
I said, no thanks to welding anywhere. Indoors, outdoors, he said, it's warm to say the least.
It's like, yeah, being in front of a blasting hot fire oven all day long.
Got a text from Jamie, said, AI has started, all capital letters. And it's a picture that said, repaired students ready for use. Somebody, phrasing-wise on the sign, just sort of put a couple of words there that don't really, when put together, don't make much sense. Who else? Ryan, talking about how hot it was. I said, I wear shorts in the wintertime, so the inverse could be true. Ryan says, I also wear shorts all winter, and when people ask me about it, I sarcastically say I'm protesting winter, and they usually look weird and walk away. Yeah. Someone else wondering if my AC was screaming this last weekend with how cold you like it in your house. It was fine. It's in good shape. I take care of it. Make sure it's running properly every year. Make sure I change the filter on a regular basis. So it does the trick.
We helped in any way we could. All the curtains shut. All the blinds shut.
Dan texted in earlier. We were talking about the rain we got yesterday. He said that
It was significant.
before 7 p.m., I had about 3 1/4 inches in Bangor.
Oh, Bangor, okay.
Didn't check this morning when he got up for work, however. Ogre said that between yesterday and last night, his rain gauge had just over 3 inches in Sparta, the west
so
side
we're
of town.
talking about over 3. That doesn't surprise me because it came down so hard for so long. And then we saw that footage in Madison of the Woodmans that collapsed the roof because of the rain.
Sarah texted in, said 2.5 inches by the Shelby Ball Fields in La Crosse. And Pickles sent me a message earlier, said that they got about 3.5 in Rockland. So, yeah, it sounds like someone pretty much in our area here.
Mm-hmm.
It was in the Coulee region. At
Now,
least it was
we're
hovering
supposed
in
to
the,
have less rain today. That's a hopeful
I don't know if
thing.
we're going to get any. I mean, like I said, the chance is right around 15 all day, 15%.
So maybe just kind of cloudy and damp, but not any rain tomorrow. Rain moves back in. A chance on Thursday. But I'll tell you what, it's looking good for the weekend. Saturday looks dry. Mid to low 80s for Big River Rally and that ride that we're going to take up the River Road, and then music from Texas Hippie Coalition in the main tent down at the Big River Rally grounds. So we're excited about that at Oktoberfest with stunt shows and food and vendor markets and all of that. And the weather looks really, really pleasant. Saturday, dry again. Upper 80s for that ride out to S&S Cycle and the breakfast and the Budweiser Clydesdales. I'm really hoping that the weather holds for them as well. So find all that information. But it looks like rain the next couple days and then a nice weekend for all of us.
Thank you very much for all the correspondence. Good to hear from you. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. We'll talk to you tomorrow.